Alright, fourth grade. So we're doing our then and our now pictures. So at this point you have your painting techniques done, you're all ready to go. You have your two different color papers. By two different color, I mean just playing two different papers, not two different colors. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to start out by painting your background. So you should at this point figured out if you want to be in the Tidewater, Piedmont, Valley, Blue Ridge, any Appalachian Plateau, what part of Virginia you're doing. I am going to do the Piedmont, so I'm going to do like farmlands and stuff like that. So one thing I want you to think about is how you're setting up your picture. So if you're doing a picture that's sky and ground, 1/3 of your ground, or 1/3 of your picture at least, so it can be more, needs to be the ground. So if I were to divide this into 3 equal sections, at least this whole section right here has to be the ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the ground. So this is my then picture. And so I'm going to draw some hills in the back. So these aren't mountains, they're just little like rolling hills. So I'm drawing multiple ground lines. So maybe there's another one that goes down like this in my picture. And so so that was my then picture. And my now picture, maybe now it still has those same mountains, but maybe now there's also like telephone wires on top of it. And maybe there's a telephone pole over here. Maybe they kind of connect together. And then there might still be this ground line and this ground line, but now maybe there's a road that's also coming off of this. And notice that the things that are further away are smaller, and the things that are closer up, are closer to me, are bigger. Maybe there's also like a silo over here because there's a farm. Silo, and maybe there's a farm here. Farm, maybe has the farm door, like the X. Okay, so this is my then picture. So it's got a lot less details on it, and this is my now picture. So you can tell that it's become industrialized. Maybe also there's a road here. Notice as it's farther away, it's smaller than the road that's closer up. And then maybe the road also comes along here. So again, this one's bigger and that one's smaller, and this one's even bigger because it's even closer. I might even want to erase that because we're using chalk and make that even larger. Show that's really close. So just kind of judge, see where you need to go. Alright, so when you were doing this, you're going to paint both things kind of at the same time. You're going to take these big 3-inch brushes and you're going to paint your background. So I'm going to take some blues and some whites, and I'm going to apply them. So some blues and some whites. So I have my blue and my white. Think about what region you're in Virginia. Is it mostly blue and white? Are you in more of like a city that's closer to DC? So that you're going to have more grays because there's more pollution closer to DC where we are. It's not quite as blue. Is it at night that you're doing the picture? Is it a train station? So is there a lot of dirt that's got kicked up? Really think about what area of Virginia you're thinking about, and think about what color sky you really need to draw. So I'm using these big paintbrushes, and I'm not totally mixing my colors together. I'm actually leaving one pile of paint over here and one pile over there, and just kind of mixing them together so I can put some texture in my sky. Maybe I want to show that's kind of windy. I'm kind of curling my hand. And if I look at my paint palette, my paint tray that I have, see how I have 2 different piles? So I'm just kind of pulling from both of them. Put those 2 piles next to each other, and they're not totally mixing. And I'm actually going to paint directly onto this other one now. As it gets farther up in the sky, it'll be a little bit darker, and it'll be lighter, closer. Something to think about, too, is in the now picture, you might want to add a little bit of black to your sky to show that there's some pollution that's happening, so it's a little bit more gray than it was. Because that's definitely something that happens. So I'm adding a little bit of gray to my picture. So if it's during the winter time, winter sky tends to be a little bit more gray. Alright, just mixing my colors. So what you're going to do with your picture is, since you're painting both of them at the same time, is you're painting your sky, your ground, all that kind of stuff. So, showing the difference between my pictures. Okay, so then and now. I notice I didn't totally mix my colors together. So I want to show some of them still. Maybe it's still a little bit windy. This one. Okay, so those are my basic skies. You can do a lot of different texture, but really think about what part of Virginia you're drawing. Really quickly before we go, I just want to remind you that if you are painting something that's farther away, it needs to be darker. So if I'm painting a hill that's green, I need to use the complementary color, so the opposite color on the color wheel, to make it darker. So I need to use some red. So I'm painting this hill that's farther away. I'm gonna add some more green into that. I'm going to add some red into it to make a darker color. And I'm going to go over that chalk line and over that skyline so that they're all overlapping. And I can even do not such a smooth edge using that dry brush technique to kind of make it look like there's some wild grasses in that, so it's not so smooth. Okay, and before I move on, I can actually add some painting techniques to this, but I'll show you that in the next one.